date is May 9, 2012. My name is Paul Robards, Library Director of Roberts Memorial Library at Middle Georgia College. I'll be speaking with Mark Avsec from Eastman, Georgia today about his experiences in the Vietnam War. What branch of the service did you serve in?
I was in the U.S. Air Force.
Why did you join the military?
I joined it because I didn't want to get drafted.
How old were you when you joined the military?
I was, let's see, I joined May of 1966, so I was 19.
Where did you go to receive basic training?
Lackland Air Force Base.
Where did you attend advanced training and how long did it last?
Well, I first went to Shepherd Air Force Base for propeller technician, and then prior to going to Vietnam, I went to Stewart, I think it was, somewhere in Tennessee. I think it was Stewart or something like that. It was Tennessee though. Where I went to get training on the Hamilton Standard propeller.
Did this training sufficiently prepare you for your duties in Vietnam?
Yes, it did.
What was your occupation code?
42151A.
What dates did you serve in Southeast Asia?
I think it was October 7th to probably September 28th or something like that. I got out about a couple days earlier than a year.
What are the names of the units you were assigned to?
I was in the 459th and the 537th troop, I guess it was. Well, we were the MAC squadron, military airlift squadron, so it was 459th and 537th. We were out of Phuket Air Base, and I think the 537th was out of Phuket and what's the other one? Boy, I can't remember. Oh well.
What was your rank during the war?
E4.
Did you receive any awards or citations for your service?
I received a commendation for service in Vietnam. Commendation medal.
Although you were not in a combat unit, were you ever attacked or close to any fighting?
Well, during the Tet Offensive, that was in, I think it was March or February of 1968. I think it was during the springtime. We were saying, hey, here's your M16. Oh, I thought, what am I doing? So I never used an M16. I mean, we practiced on it before we went to Vietnam, but I was strictly a mechanic, so I was kind of surprised that I was getting an M16.
Describe the bravest action you witnessed during the war.
Well, I can't. We were actually out of touch with the combat veterans, but we actually, no, I can't say that either, because we went into a lot of the special forces camps to provide them food, ammo, and we also took out bodies. But I can't remember any type of bravest act, so I wasn't privy to that type of situation.
As a young serviceman, what was your understanding about the reasons for the war?
They always said it was to prevent communism from continuing on in the area.
How did this understanding of the situation affect how you did your job?
It didn't matter to me. I mean, I just was there to work on aircraft.
Describe your living conditions, housing, and food in Vietnam.
Well, the housing conditions, we were in what they called hooches, and so they were just buildings with sandbags around them, especially in Da Nang Air Base. I was in the hooches. I actually used to, when I was first And when I first got into the country, I went to Cam Bay, and we lived in barracks there. And then they sent me to Phuket, and I was in barracks there. But then they sent me to Da Nang Air Base, which I was in Hooches. So it was a little bit of everything. It was the Hooches were just like a area where you had small little shacks with sandbags around them, a little roof, but it was strictly a lot of screened-in areas. So we got rained on a lot, especially when the hurricanes came in there, or they call them something. They don't call them hurricanes over there. They call them what do you call them?
Monsoon?
Monsoon. Yeah, yeah, something like that. But we got wet a couple times. Everything was soaked.
What was your daily routine while in Vietnam?
Well, it varied. When I was working in the docks, uh, that was just doing inspections on aircraft systems. That 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 proved to be uh, monotonous. So I told my sergeant that I was getting tired of doing that. So then he assigned me to Da Nang Air Base. So then I went from doing hooches to, actually I was put on the night shift for a while, and there we had to wear flak jackets, uh, so that actually the biggest situation occurred when we were pulling a prop on a caribou, and it was around 11 o'clock at night, and then we took the prop to the prop shop, and then 5 minutes later 3 rounds hit exactly where we were at. So they were probably zeroing in on our lights that we're working on. So that's one thing I remember about the time I spent over there.
Did you ever do anything just for the fun of it?
Yeah, I wanted to. I would a lot of times just go with the aircraft and see what they did. And so they didn't mind me coming along because I was a prop man. So a lot of times I would go along with the crews and see and go on missions with them. So it was kind of neat. I mean, you're 19 years old and you think that you're invulnerable, and so you do stupid things like that.
So you logged flight hours that you couldn't get credit for?
No, I didn't.
How many?
Oh boy, I don't know. Uh, I've got a lot. Like I told you, I have 30 minutes of film that I have with the Super 8 film, and I've actually got film of going on these missions. And we got one point where we were doing an airdrop on a special forces camp that was being attacked, and we have other film of how they actually get the product to the special forces camps. It was kind of neat. And also we had to go to special forces camps in case an aircraft was down, and if they had engine problems or something else, then the prop man went with the engine man. And so we were at some special forces camps for a couple nights.
What kinds of illegal drugs did you see being used in Vietnam, and under what conditions?
I've heard about drugs being used, but I never used any. So I really didn't know.
Please describe any USO shows you may have visited.
Oh, there was a couple. Oh, the Bob Hope show. I got a whole film of the Bob Hope show on my tape. So I thought that would be kind of interesting to have them view that. And I think there was another one. Can't remember her name. Boy, I can't remember her name. But she was one of the singers, popular singers back in those days, that came over, and we saw her. It was a time to get involved with something to get that's off their minds of the war.
Were you able to use a service club, and if so, what activities did you participate in?
Yeah, we used the service club a lot. Uh, and we just went there to associate and drink beer. Uh, just be a place to go away to someplace, getting away from our normal habitat, our area.
What music reminds you of your Vietnam experience?
We gotta get out of this place if it's the last thing we ever do.
Oh, that kind of says it all, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
it? Could you tell me about the most memorable event that happened to you or your unit while serving in Vietnam?
Uh, yeah, it was that May 25th was the time when the VC were going for servicemen. They were actually trying to bombard, rocket our living area in Phuket Air Base. And when you hear a round hit, you know exactly what it was. I was laying down on my top bunk, and there was a small little desk that was right beside, right next to my bed. And as soon as I heard the round hit, I just rolled, and not thinking about where I was going. So I missed that desk by about a half inch. That's the most memorable thing I remember.
Do you think that Vietnam veterans were discriminated against when they returned to the United States after their tours in Vietnam?
I didn't experience any of that, so I couldn't be a good judge in that at all.
How has the war most affected your life?
Well, since I was training as an aircraft technician, a prop technician in the Air Force, then after I got out of the Air Force, I went to school to get my aircraft technician's license, and also flight licenses too. So it actually is something that actually I still use here because I teach aircraft maintenance, and I teach the kids about the props and the things that we used during the war.
Have your views about the war changed over the years? If so, how?
I think that um, I think it's politicians that cause a lot of wars, and I see the kids today that are going to this war, and we were drafted back in those days, and we only had to do 1 year, and now these kids that are going in now, they're doing 3 and 4 tours, and that's the biggest thing that I see that I don't agree with, but what can you do?
Is there anything else that you would like to share about your Vietnam War experience?
Mm, well, I, I don't talk about it that much, and people really don't even know I've been there because I don't talk about it that much. And a lot of times when I show the films, the students they get a reaction. Boy, look what you did. So it doesn't really. I don't know. I have. I can't really say.
Thank you for your service to the country, and thank you for participating in this project.
All right. Thank you.